Good morning, Conference. I know it's slightly bad form, considered to be so, to read while you're on the podium rather than speaking, but I do wish to read a small quote to you. The only purpose for which power can rightfully be exercised over any member of a civilised community against his will is to prevent harm to others. His own good, either physical or moral, is not a sufficient warrant. He cannot rightfully be compelled to do or to forbear, because it will be better for him to do so, because it will make him happier, because, in the opinion of others, to do so would be wise or even right. The only part of the conduct of anyone for which he is amenable to society is that which concerns others. In the part which merely concerns himself, his independence is of right absolute. Over himself, over his own mind and body, the individual is sovereign. As many of you will be aware, that is the harm principle, which is formulated by the great pair of liberal philosophers John Stuart Mill and Harriet Taylor. Now, when I did my law degree way back in the mists of time, one of the elective modules I took was an introduction to philosophy. There was a fair amount of reading involved in that, but there was only one set text, and that set text was on liberty. Now, I have to say that reading it was the closest thing to a religious experience I've ever had. It was like a light going on. Someone was elucidating all the things that I already believed in, or some of the things that I didn't even know I already believed in beautifully crafted Victorian prose. These days, I'm somewhat more capable of seeing some of the flaws in Mill and Taylor's arguments, particularly some of the horrifically racist ones, but the harm principle still holds true. It's an absolutely fundamental tenet of liberalism. The only purpose for which power can rightfully be exercised over any member of a civilised community against his will is to prevent harm to others. His own good, either physical or moral, is not sufficient warrant. It's the bedrock of all my political beliefs, and it's the first principle that I come back to when I want to decide whether or not I agree with a policy. And that is why I cannot vote in favour of this amendment if it remains as currently worded. I'm sure that the proposers of the amendment only had the best of motives in drafting it the way they did, but when it asks us to have as policy prevention of people harming themselves, it contravenes something so fundamental to my liberalism that I cannot agree to it. Please vote to remove the words "to do with harm to themselves" from the amendment. Thank you very much.